Does rising inflation have you concerned? Stick around on Q&A Sunday. We're going to talk a little bit about that and how it compares to the housing market. All right, let's jump into the numbers because I'm going to just tell you right off the bat, housing market has always outperformed inflation. Now I'm going to say that always is a very, definitive term. So I'm going to break down the numbers just so you can have a sense of when I say that, there's actually data to follow up what I'm saying, whereas it's only been down one time over the last like 40 years that people have been tracking this information. In the 1970s, housing prices outperformed inflation by 2%. So inflation went up, but housing went up 2% more. In the 1980s, basically even. When inflation went up, housing prices pretty much stayed flat with the increase at the same level. In the 90s, it went up 1% higher. So housing outperformed inflation. In the 2000s is the only time you're going to see a downturn, and it was 0.5%. 0.5%. And everybody knows what happens in the 2000s, but then what happened in 2010? In the 2010s, housing outperformed inflation by 3%. Now, let's kick it all the way up to 2020. Housing outperformed inflation by 8%. And now in 2021, I know we're in 2022 now, but we're, kind of in that transition. 2021, inflation went up 7%, which is pretty high in the grand scheme of all the numbers that we're talking about if you look at the historical data. And the housing market went up 15%. So that's another 8% increase over inflation. So if you're looking to buy an investment property, now is the time, because when inflation happens, housing happens better. That's probably not the best way to say that, but it's the easiest way to get through to someone who doesn't really follow the market. Now, if you look back at our Instagram page from probably a couple of weeks ago, we actually sent out or posted a graph that kind of showed all this, and we get our information from Keeping Current Matters. So I'm going to give a big shout out to those guys for, a lot of the great content that they put out, because they make what we do a lot easier to keep track of the numbers, because they have a whole group of people behind the data making sure it's all accurate. But I just want you to know that with inflation comes a good housing market. So if you're thinking about buying a house, whether it's a rental or it's going to be your primary residence, you're going to thank me in 2 years, because you're going to say, whoop, whoop, I did good. Whoop, whoop, I did good. All right. Had a little fun at the end of that. I love to dance. Not really. But this was Quick Q&A Sunday about inflation versus housing market. If you have any questions, reach out to me, reach out to someone on the team. My number's 412-965-6387. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, share this out with a friend, do it all, and I appreciate it. Have a great day.